Hello everyone and thank you for joining me. This is Sierra from Sierra T Designs and today I have for you week 6 of my 12 weeks of Christmas. So let's jump right in. So I did make 2 cards in this video, but I'm only going to show you making of the pink card because they're the exact same. So here you can see I'm kind of trying to figure out what I want to do with my layout. And I have cut down a panel. This is Simon Says Stamp's Cotton Candy cardstock, and the tealy colored one that you will see here later, it is Simon Says Stamp's Seaglass cardstock. So I'm going to play around with the layout until I kind of find a layout that I like. And I have the sentiment there as well. It's not actually going to be stamped on the cardstock right now, but I have it laid out in the center so that I know what my layout's kind of going to look like. And please excuse the cats. They just couldn't resist walking through the camera view here a couple of times. But it does take me generally a few minutes to kind of I know what my idea is, but I'm not always sure of what my layout's going to be. So I kind of had to play around with this a little bit. I knew that I wanted 5 because if you guys have been with my channel for a little while, sorry about that. I like to work in uneven numbers. So I knew I wanted to have 5 snowflakes, but it took me a few minutes to kind of figure out how to get them laid out. And then here you can see that I finally did figure it out, and I'm going to put them down on the lid of my Misti and pull out the sentiment because I'm going to stamp that later. But I really wanted to emboss these snowflakes. So I have 5 snowflakes from the Simon Says Stamp Comfort and Joy stamp set, and I'm going to heat emboss them. And I'm going to use my Versamark ink here. I think that my Versamark ink is getting a little bit dry. I think I need to buy a re-inker for it because it didn't the embossing powder didn't stick as well as I was hoping it would. So I think that I need some new ink, but I'm going to flip the cardstock around and then I'm going to stamp this again on the other side. So this is a pretty clean and simple Christmas card that you could easily remake into many cards or any color. I mean, in this one I did some fairly non-traditional Christmas colors just because I like them, but you could absolutely do it in red and green or navy or whatever color you'd like. So I have some Wow Sparkling Snow embossing powder, and this stuff is stunning. So it's white, but it has glitter in it as well. So in person, it's just such a stunning embossing powder. It's not picked up, like the glitter of it isn't quite picked up really well in the camera, but it's just stunning. And I'm sorry, I am going to get a little bit out of camera shot here when I'm embossing, but you guys have seen me emboss before. I like to leave it in because I love watching it melt, but I have a new setup right now, so it's a little bit out of the screen there a little bit. So sorry about that. So I did heat emboss this until it was smooth and melted, and then I opted to actually emboss it again. I wanted it to be a bit thicker, I guess is maybe the right word. I wanted a little more dimension to my embossing. So I opted to, and because my Versamark's a bit dry, I found that my embossing powder didn't stick as well as I would have liked it to. So I am going to emboss it a second time, and I just left the stamps in my Misti, so it was super easy to just take it back to the Misti and stamp them down again. So I did the exact same things for this Seaglass cardstock that I'm doing to the pink cotton candy cardstock here. And as I said, you could mass produce this card super easily. So if you have to do a lot of Christmas cards, this would be kind of it's pretty, but it's quite simple way to make a bunch of cards and be able to send them out pretty quickly. So I guess I didn't need to show you this all again, but I left it in because I just love embossing. Are you guys like embossing? I just find that it adds so much beauty to a card. It's amazing because it's just like melted plastic, but I love how much elegance it adds to a card. And then you can see here that now you can see the snowflakes quite a bit better because it's been double embossed. And I generally don't do that, and I don't know why I don't. I never do, but I just thought for this one it would look really neat. So I have a sentiment from that same stamp set, that same Comfort and Joy stamp set, and I'm just stamping it out in some Versamark ink. No, I don't think so. I think that hold on one sec. Versafine. It's Versafine Onyx Black ink. I had to check my inks there for a second. And I've just stamped that down on a piece of the same cotton candy cardstock, and I'm just going to trim it out with my trimmer. I have the words kind of lined up with the plastic piece in my trimmer. I've found that has helped me kind of align it and make it straight easier and get a straight cut. And then I'm going to stick this down on a black piece of cardstock because I'm going to matte my sentiment, just as I'm going to matte my piece of pink cardstock that I embossed on. So I did kind of just stick that down in the corner, and I'm kind of eyeballing 1/8 of an inch. You could absolutely measure this out. I don't. I have a tendency to just try to guess at measurements, but you don't have to guess. And then I'm going to line that up in my trimmer and trim it down as well, so that you're kind of getting a double matted effect here, because my panel, my embossed panel, will also be matted on the same black cardstock. I like how it looks. I like how it pops, and I think on a card that's this simple, it really adds something. I also really like pink and black together, so that's another thing there. So I'm going to bring in my Nuvo Deluxe glue, and I'm going to stick down all my panels. So I do have an A2 sized card base here, and I have my black mat, which is 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 base, and then my pink panel is 1/8 of an inch smaller than my black mat. And I'm just going to stick that down in the center, and again, I eyeball it. It's not perfect, but I've never had anybody come to me and say, hey, this isn't perfect, why didn't you stick it down centered? So I don't really think it matters, but if you want to, you can absolutely kind of try to measure that out. I'm going to use that same Deluxe glue and just stick down my panel to my A2 sized base, and then we're going to move on to sticking down the sentiment. So I did opt to stick the sentiment down with some foam squares. I thought that adding that little bit of dimension, and I mean it's quite a little amount of dimension because I used very thin 3D foam squares, the like super thin ones, so it's not a lot of dimension, but it just adds a little bit extra, I think, to this card. So I did put the 6 down, and then you're going to see me here try to eyeball the sentiment. And luckily with these foam squares, they don't stick right away, so you can see here I laid it down, lifted it up. I'm going to do that again. And then I'm going to smarten up and bring in my T-square ruler, because I thought I could just eyeball it, and that's just silly. Because had I placed the sentiment down wrong, it would have been really obvious and really hard to get back up again. So you could absolutely put a little bit of liquid glue behind your foam squares, and that would give you a little bit of time to kind of move them before it stuck. I didn't opt to do that with this, but you absolutely could, and that would give you that little bit of wiggle room to make sure that you actually lined everything up. And then, of course, I could not resist adding a little bit of sparkle. So I have some Studio Katia clear crystal jewels here, and everything that I use will be linked and listed down below in the description if you ever want to check it out. And by all means, ask me questions if you ever have any. I'm more than happy to answer any question you have, so please leave it in the comments. I answer any question or any comment that anybody leaves, and I really appreciate hearing from you guys. So I'm just going to stick down, as you can see, 5 little little gems. And then I'm going to hold up these cards so you can check them out. So what do you guys think of this card, or these 2 cards, this one design? Was this something you would recreate? Do you kind of like the non-traditional colors, or do you kind of prefer the more red and green traditional colors for Christmas? That's what I have for you guys today. I'll see you again on Monday with another Christmas video, and I will see you on Thursday for a special giveaway. It is going to be my 1,000 subscriber giveaway, so make sure you come back on Thursday to check that out. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.